Hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening. How are you guys? Okay, so I hope you're doing well, everyone. Hello. Can you see me? Okay, so guys, good evening, and I welcome you to the last class of this course. Last class of this course, and today we are going to talk about two remaining guidelines. Okay, one is validation of laboratory testing, and another is publication ethics. Okay. So laboratory validation testing is very specific for certain people, but publication ethics is for everyone. For everyone of us, every researcher, publication ethics is one of the major guidelines and major necessity for every researcher, every academician. Everyone needs to publish the data, publish the papers, right? So today we are going to learn and we are going to finish our course with the publication guidelines. Those are one of the very important guidelines to understand. I literally get a lot of questions in my, all the webinars, seminars, and the personal interactions, and from the students, from the academicians and all, about the authorship. What should be the authorship? Who should be the author? You know, a lot of things. And I see a lot of people publish the papers and do a lot of mistakes in those papers, in authorship, in affiliations, and a lot of new things are there. Okay. So there are two guidelines. You won't believe that the laboratory validation testing guidelines is just 3 pages from ICMR. I mean, there are 9 pages though, but other pages are annexes and the introduction, the references. There are only 3 pages guidelines. Okay, so it will be easy for you to understand. But that is amazing. All 3 pages are really amazing to read. And laboratory validation means is not for the people who are working in the wet labs or somewhere. One second. Yeah. So, laboratory testing validity guidelines, what I, chose to discuss with you is not like the wet lab work. Okay. Like the wet lab work means the animal studies or the regulatory affair studies or no. We are going to talk about completely clinical research only as we are talking about the clinical research guidelines, healthcare guidelines in India, right? So all related to healthcare guidelines. So these guidelines are just 3 pages. That's why I combined both the guidelines. And the another guidelines is just 24 pages, and reading is just 8 pages in those guidelines. The publication guidelines, reading is just 8 pages. But all 8 pages are fabulous. Like in the, what we say, mind blowing to read. Okay. These are mind blowing reads. You will, in every line, you will feel like something new. Okay. Because whatever practices we are doing in the publication, whatever practices you are doing in conducting your research and reporting your research is not simple, right? And is not, what we say, uh, sometimes it's not ethical, either ethical or appropriate, frankly, if I say in the common words, right? So today we are going to discuss about that, but before that I want to understand from you guys. I want to understand from you guys, like, what are the issues you feel when you are publishing a paper? What are the major issues you face when you publish a paper in the authorship or whatever, related to the research publication? What kind of issues you get, or what kind of questions come in your mind when you think of publishing a paper? Right, guys? So write your questions first. Let's start with that. Okay, then we'll take both the guidelines. Both will be finished in an hour, not more than an hour. And today is the final feedback form. So you all have to fill the feedback form also. All have to fill the feedback form. today attendance form and the final feedback form is jointly given, right? So you have to fill that also. And to give the certificate, you guys have to just give a minimum test of understanding, right? That is not today, that I'll share in the group. I'll tell you the timings and we'll share in the group. Okay, test of understanding. You remember what is the test of understanding? So we'll do a test of understanding and then you will be, getting your certificates. So now, फटाफट भाग भाग के अपने अपने questions लिखो. Right, guys, your questions, please. Questions, please. What are the questions come in your mind or you face when you think of publishing a paper? My question is that before we start the class, before we start the things, plagiarism issues. Ruchita is telling about the plagiarism issues. Okay, got it. Plagiarism issues are very important issues. Yeah, plagiarism issues, then plagiarism issues, then formatting. Okay, absolutely. Formatting. How to present the statistical data. Okay. Which journal to choose, catchy title or headlines, is that journal platform is good or not? Yeah, true. Selection of publishing journal, research gap. Yes, absolutely. Yes, 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 yes. Research gap. Yes, then what else? Yes, yes, then what else? Yes, guys. Okay. Methodology, proper language, grammar, matching current needs of research. Do publication have value? We go for a job. Okay, fine. I mean, fair enough. You guys are, having the issues, correct? So, fair enough. I'm sorry. Yeah. So let me ask you first, which guidelines you want me to complete first? Interesting one, or I mean, both are definitely interesting for me, but you want me to complete the uh, laboratory testing validation first or the publication guidelines first, guys? Publication one. Hmm. Ah, interesting one, huh? Publication one. So that's completely okay for me. Okay, let me share the publication guidelines first with you guys. I have everything with me. So, yes. Yeah. I hope you can see my screen. You can see the ICMR policy on research integrity and publication ethics. Guys, confirm just if it's full screen in front of you. Okay, great, great, fantastic. Cool. Now let's start. So I have some questions for you. I have some questions for you. Yeah. So these are the questions. Answer one by one. First, about first question. Have you heard or, I mean, have you read these policies, guidelines, what I'm going to teach today? ICMR policy on research integrity and publication ethics. Have you guys ever read or got a chance to study these guidelines? Ever? Okay. Okay. Oh, fantastic. People are there who have read these guidelines. Amazing. Amazing. So they can answer the next questions. They can answer the okay. Nikhil is there. Pranjal, Mansi. Okay. Pravali and Dinesh. Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. I appreciate, guys. So now tell me, what is sensitization and training? Can someone define the word sensitization and training from these guidelines? And what do you understand actually? I mean, in the normal language, also in the normal life, also, what do you understand by sensitization and testing, guys? Yes, sensitization and testing. Anyone? Sensitization and testing. No. Okay. What is sensitization? What is testing? And what is the sensitization and testing? Yes, guys. You know why I get sleepy in the classes in evening? Because I usually have my food at 4:35 lunch. It's very bad. Okay. Stimulation. What is stimulation? Sensitization. Providing awareness about what? What kind of awareness? Understanding after performing or learning or training. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. But not that much. This is a very simple term. Sensitization and training is when someone new. Okay. When someone new, like new intern or new joinee, joins the institute, joins the institute or firm or like whatever department where research is going on, they all should go through the training and guidelines for responsible conduct of research and publication ethics. It's a very simple thing. Sensitization and training is they have given the term sensitization here, like you should sensitize the new trainees or new joinees or interns in the initial phase only when they are joining the department or institute or the company. Initially only they should undergo the training. Okay, so you must have seen that first 6 months or 4 months or 5 months there are the trainings, so you match with the guidelines of the company or the department or the university, right? So such trainings should be given. You must have you don't know, but if the PhD joins anywhere in the world, if the PhD, someone wants to do the PhD and joining as a PhD researcher or PhD scholar, they have first 6 months as probationary period. And in that probationary period, they have to complete the 12 credit coursework. 12 credit coursework. Either those are part-time PhDs, full-time PhDs, they have to complete the 12 credit coursework, and that coursework is complete training about multiple things, about the publication ethics, about the biostatistics, about the journal selection, about there are multiple parts of the course. Okay, so the entire training, entire coursework takes you through the like review writing, systematic review writing, team selection, all everything, methodology, research methodology, everything will be taught in that training in the probationary period. That is called as sensitization and training. When someone join the research newly, they have to undergo the training for the responsible conduct of research and publication. Understand? Can someone just name one similar guidelines for research publication ethics and you know can someone write that research publication ethics and integrity international guidelines if you are aware of? Yes, there is a very famous international guideline which talks about the research publication. Internationally, they are acceptable. Even in India, we follow those guidelines only. Everyone in the world follow those guidelines only. Can someone name me those guidelines, guys? What are those guidelines name? You know, ICH. ICH is for GCP, Arijita. ICH is for good clinical practices, not for the publication ethics. WHO, no. WHO, no. No. So you are unaware of those guidelines. Okay, let it be. Have you heard of this word? ICMJE. Yes. Have you heard of ICMJE? Yes, ICMJE, Mansi, correct. ICMJE. What is ICMJE is? ICMJE is International Committee of Medical Journal Editors. International Committee of Medical Journal Editors. I'll tell you the good facts about the new things. So this is nothing but guide. You must remember all the authorships, all the publications, all the plagiarism, all the ethics guidelines for the publication regarding publications are made by ICMJ and every country follow those guidelines only. Okay. International Committee of Medical Journal Editors. medical journal editors. Got it? Medical journal editors, they only, have the entire committee and work on those things, So these are the major guidelines which are which have been followed everywhere for the authorship and publications. Okay, got it, guys? ICMJE guidelines. Okay, I had some question in my mind, but I forgot it. Let it be. Now, the next question for all of you is redundant publications are called as salami publications. What do you understand by this word? Redundant publications or salami publications? Yes, guys. It's going to be interesting class. Literally, I'm telling you. This is one of the fantastic class of these guidelines course. Yes. What is redundant publication or salami publications for all of you? What do you understand by that, guys? Yes, tell me. Salami publications. Have you heard of the word plagiarism? Plagiarism. Plagiarism. Okay. So this is the part of plagiarism only. Okay. This is a part of plagiarism only. Duplicate publication. Yes. Salami publication means like there is a publication published on some issue originally, okay, on one issue which is very trendy and which is fantastic. Okay. So that paper was published in JAMA, suppose. Journal of American Medical Association, JAMA. Okay. So the paper published in JAMA. Now there are 20, 30 researchers around the world. They just took that idea and published their papers simply. I mean, exact papers in different journals. They just took that paper, changed a few words, or on the same streamline, they published the papers. Okay. They published the papers on the same streamline, taking the content from that paper, taking the content from the original paper. They published 20, 30 papers in the same streamline with the same content in the different journals. Okay, that is called as redundant publications or salami publications. Understand? That is a part of, and that is a type of plagiarism. I'll tell you today all the types of plagiarisms today. Okay, I'm going to tell you all the types of plagiarisms also. So now let's go further. What's the background of these guidelines, made by ICMR? Is first of all, the responsible conduct of research, as we know, like the everything goes in the flow, right? First you plan the research, right? You take the ethical approvals with the committee building, then you go and conduct the research, then you uh, analyze the data, I mean collection of the data and analyze, and then you publish the report, right? This is the usual flow, right? So responsible conduct of research involves all the components like planning, conducting the research, reviewing, and then reporting the research and responsible authorship and publication of the research work. So responsible conduct of research, RCR, is not just conducting the research and following all the GCP, GMP guidelines and selection of the participants and taking care of their ethics, their safety and integrity, but responsible conduct of research goes up to end. Okay, goes till end, till the paper publications, till the reporting of the till the reporting of the research and till the publication of the research it goes. Okay, so that is very important, and that's why we need to prepare these guidelines, because we have studied till now. See, till now what we have studied in our guidelines is I have taken all in the sequence, right? All in the sequence. So first, like ICH guidelines, ethical submission, bioethics guidelines, use of AI, and everything, and then the last thing comes is publication or reporting of the research data, whatever you have done, right? So these are all the guidelines made for the different stages in the responsible conduct of research, right? So there are majorly there are four research ethics or four basic principles of the responsible conduct of research. We have studied all. First is autonomy, respect of the person, like including the participants. Then beneficence, like to do the good for the society, for the person, for the people, for the participant. Then non maleficence, like no harm to anyone, either those are participants or those are authors or those are the team members or those are the researchers. And then justice. So justice means you should be we are talking about the fairness of the research conduction, right? Including the including the participants to the authorship, release, I mean everything, right? So these are the major four pillars, four things about what we have studied. This is kind of a summary slide, right? Recap slide. And then these principles must be followed. Applicability for the safeguarding dignity, rights, safety, and well-being of the research participants, and for maintaining the research integrity, right? Purpose of these guidelines is very important. These guidelines for the publication, see, to ensure the highest professional and ethical standard for biomedical and health researches at all the stages. I told you all the stages, right? All the stages of, like, from the inception of the research, from the planning of the research, from the ideation of the research. Inception is ideation, since the idea came to your mind for this research, and then honesty in the conduction of the research, then obtaining the relevant approvals, either those are IC approvals or the regulatory approvals or animal ethics committee approvals, whatever, obtaining the relevant approvals. Then efficiency, judicious use of resources, definitely ensuring accountability. Whatever is whoever is involved in the process must be accountable for their work. Then transparency, declaration of the declaration and management of the conflict of interest. Then reliable data collection, handling, interpretation. So this is the entire flow, and everything must be according to the ethical standards. Then reporting, publication, and translation for the benefit of population is very important. See, if you do a research and just don't publish it anywhere, what's the use of that research if it is not being used? If the results or analysis or the whatever you have done, the research is not going out for the public or going out to the research community, how they will come to know that you have done something, and how they'll come to know? So it is very important, whatever research you do, it is very important to publish that research. It is very, very important to publish that research. Understand? So this is the purpose. And now I'll come to the ICMG authorship evaluations. ICMG is the guidelines, International Committee of Medical Journal, editors, and how they have started and now where they are exactly. Okay, then we'll discuss the further things about our guidelines and these guidelines. These guidelines are completely on the publication. Okay, completely on the publication. See, publication, why we need the guidelines. Okay, let me tell you why we need the guidelines. Guidelines are always to safeguard the integrity and safeguard the integrity of the people, and to make their rights accordingly, whatever their rights are, to safeguard their rights and integrity, right? Guidelines are for that. When you are doing a publication, or reporting something, there are multiple things to safeguard. Like, first, authors. There are the multiple stakeholders, right? Multiple stakeholders. First, authors. Then the people who are participated. Maybe when you are writing a case report, the patient. So patient safeguard is what? Patient safeguard is, like, we have to anonymize them. We have to take the consent form. Then only we should publish the paper, like that, right? So first thing is participant, right? Participant, then the researcher, then the contributor, right? Then the contributors, and yeah, I mean, all the contributors means that could be data collection officer, that could be data entry officer, that could be the mentor or the co-guide or the research expert or someone, research assistant, research coordinator, anything, anyone it could be. So these are all the stakeholders in any research. And when it comes to the publication and all, the main thing is authorship. Main thing is authorship and credits. And the second thing is research misconduct. So we do have these guidelines. We have these international and national guidelines to ensure the safeguard of the authorship and credits and research misconduct prevention. So we have to prevent the research misconducts, as well as these, we have to ensure the authorship is proper, right? The the appropriateness of the authorship and credits, right? So these are the things will be involved. See, grammar and all are those are not the important issues here, right? I mean, the grammar, sentences, and all are the personal things. Like whatever you write, either it will be accepted or rejected. If you are not writing well, even grammarly, it will be rejected, right? So those technical parts are not covered in these guidelines, nowhere, right? But the research misconducts like fabrication, the plagiarism, multiple type of plagiarism, and the authorship credits, and giving their credits, whoever is involved, whoever stocks or stockholders are involved, stakeholders are involved, we have to give them the credits, right? So these things are covered in these guidelines, and these things are, I think, major for that. Major when you are publishing a paper. We don't consider the authorship, we just take the authorship very light, but authorship is one of the very important issue when you go for the publication. So in 1978 they started with required a statement confirming all authors had seen and agreed upon the manuscript. So at the end, once the manuscript was ready, when the manuscript was ready, they just used to take a signed consent form from the all authors. From all the authors, they used to take the signed consent form, signed authorship form, we call it. Okay. Still it is there. Okay. This is still there. Authorship form, right? So everyone has to sign in that okay, we are confirming this manuscript, we are agreeing to publish this manuscript, and journals used to accept it. But they found that there are multiple loopholes. The people found the loopholes, like only one person is writing the manuscript, but there are many people who are becoming author. That is still happening. I mean, that is still happening. Those loopholes are still there, but like they found many loopholes and they tried to cover those. Okay, they tried to cover those, like, so in 1988, after 10 years, they come up with like only three authors could be there in any manuscript. Only three authors. Only three authors could be there in any manuscript. Okay. Then collective authorship would be there. Like everyone has to sign and give that their author. Then acknowledging the contributors. Acknowledgement, right? So since 1988, they involved the term acknowledgement. You must have seen when you're writing the paper, when you're reading the paper, you must have seen acknowledgements, right? So whoever has indirectly participated in your research or helped in conduction of the research, but they are not eligible to become an author. Understand? They're not eligible to become an author. They can be in the acknowledgements. What are and the acknowledgements? Like funding agencies? You cannot keep the sponsor name in the authors, right? Because they're just giving the money. You cannot the site name in the author. You cannot, keep the associated lab name in the authorship. You cannot keep the MOUs with international or national centers in the authorship, right? Because those are just the helping hands. Those are getting their credits by either in the monetary benefits, or anyhow, but they are not eligible to become the author. I'll tell you what are the eligibilities for the authorship, right? So they're not becoming the authors, but they have done something. They have participated in your manuscript in the research, so they all come under the acknowledgement. Okay. Then in 1994, because there was a fight, again they felt that there is a fight of credits. There is a fight of credits in 98 to this period. I mean, from the starting only, they found that there is the problem in authorship credits. What is the authorship credit? Like someone is like, I have written the manuscript, entire manuscript. Someone was like, I have analyzed the data. The third one was like, no, 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 I was the person who gave the idea of this research. So I need the author, first author, second author. What should be the order of authorship, right? What should be the order of authorship? They had to like fight for that. Then 1994, the ICMJ came up with the order of authorship. Order of authorship. Can someone tell me two things about the order of authorship here, guys? Please, if you know anything about authorship, tell me the order of authorship. What do you understand by order of authorship, please? Yes. Can anyone tell me about the order of authorship? Yes, guys. Yes. Anyone? Yes, tell me, guys. First, order of authorship. How do you keep the order of authorship? Author and co-author. Okay. Order and co-author. Who is co-author and who is author here? Depends on the contribution to publication. What is that? Explain, please. Okay, let me make you speak. You can speak also. Let me just. Okay, now you can even speak, guys. Yeah. Depends on the contribution. Mentor is the author. Mentor is the author. Okay. Tell me what is authorship and co-authorship? It's a very interesting topic, guys. Come on. You all are doing research and you all feel like if I'm doing my research, why I should give the authorship to someone else? If I did this authorship, I mean, if I did this work, then why should I give this to someone else? That's very, very important, isn't it? Corresponding author, first author. Okay. The person who wrote the manuscript is first author. Is it? The main person conducting the research, then comes the mentors and guides. First author will with underline and then other co-authors. Underline. It's not necessary. Major work done person is author and first author. The one with one with star is the major one. Okay. No, not at all. First, the corresponding author is marked with the star, then the main co-authors is marked who has the main contribution, and next will be co-author involved in the research, but then contribution less one. Okay, lot of answers, lot of answers. Let me tell you guys. So you must have seen. Okay, let me tell you. Where is this? Where I have come. Yeah. So order of authorship is, see, you must have seen, like I'll just give you the example with the people here, right? Suppose uh, Ajit, okay, S, then someone SS, then PS, then TS, then, AMR, then, suppose RS. These are the authors. These are the authors, right? These all are the authors in one manuscript. So, can someone tell me? I have a question. This is general knowledge test. This is a research test for all of you. Can someone tell me who is the first author and who is the main author here? First author and main author. Yes, guys. Make it interesting. Yes. Who is the first author and who is the major author, main author here? Yes. And who is the mentor here? I just want to ask also, who is the mentor here? Three things you have to tell. One is first author. Number two is corresponding author. Corresponding author. Number three is main author. Number four is mentor. What do you think it should be like? How it should be? Yes, guys. Ajit is mentor here. Like the first one is mentor here. First one is the mentor. How can we decide in this, sir, who is the mentor and corresponding author or main author? Okay, let me keep this. Let me keep this straight for you. Yes. Now, okay, I kept the star on PS. I kept the star on PS, guys. Yes. So what do you think now? Please tell me, everyone, what your conscience says. What your conscience says. Ajit S is first author. Okay. Corresponding author. Who is corresponding author? PS is 3. PS is corresponding author. Okay. PS is corresponding author. Then why you were telling the main author? Star 1 is corresponding author. Yes. So PS here is corresponding author. So all the communications will be done to the PA, the PS. He is the person who submitted the manuscript. And it does not mean that he is the main author. Okay. Or he is the mentor. Not at all. It doesn't go like that. It doesn't go like the PS is the main character here, main researcher here, or PS is the mentor here. It does not go like that. Usually it happens that usually what happens is, okay, I think corresponding author is the one who will be responsible for answering any queries and questions which might arise in the future. Definitely. Definitely. Yes. So Let me tell you what is the order of authorship. Keep in mind, and you can write these notes. Okay, you can write these notes because these are the very specific things what I'm going to tell you. See, here AS is the first author. Okay, this is the first author. This is the first author. Okay, and here this is the corresponding author. PS is corresponding author. Okay, and according to guidelines, RS is mentor. That's why I'm telling guidelines studying is important. Usually guidelines says the last author should be the mentor. Okay. Last author should be the mentor or the person who involved in the ideation or inception of the research and publication. Understand? So the person should be at the end. The mentor should be at the end. Okay. Mentor should be at the end. Right. These are the guidelines says, right? So let me tell you the roles and responsibilities. Okay, roles and responsibilities. Guys, everyone is co-author here. Okay, everyone is co-author here. No one is author. You understand? Main author is corresponding author. Who is corresponding? So they call it corresponding author. Everyone is author and co-author. Author and co-author. Okay, author and co-author. We cannot divide. If we normally, casually, if I say, the word casually is correct here. If I say casually, first author and corresponding author. First author and corresponding author are main authors, and other all are co-authors. Other all are co-authors. Okay. First and corresponding author is the main author, are the main authors, and others are the co-authors. But let me tell you again, this is also not 100% correct because everyone is co-author here. Everyone is co-author and everyone can be tagged as author. First author, second author, third author, fourth author, fifth author, sixth author. There are 6 authors, right? So everyone could be given a tag. And how do we differentiate? It's not necessary that everyone is author, co-author. See, mentor might not be writing the manuscript. So he is not author, he is mentor. Okay, AMR might not be writing the manuscript, but he has done all the analysis. He is biostatistician. So their roles are different. Okay, their roles and responsibilities are different. They might not be the author. Okay, they are co-authors. But if we generally say these all are authors and these all are co-authors. Understand? These all are co-authors and these all are authors. So I'm telling about main author, right? So first, the name who is written, who is at the first rank, and the person who is with star corresponding author are the main lead researchers. I will not say the authors, lead researchers here. Lead, the people of writing this publication. Okay. Now let me tell you, if it goes with the credits, listen to it carefully. If it goes with the credits, first author and corresponding author are the top credit receivers. Other else are the second credit receivers, second level credit receivers. Okay, second level credit receivers. What does it mean by credit receivers? Suppose the university gives 1 lakh rupees for one publication as an appraisal. Like if you publish a paper, my university, if you publish a paper in Q1 journal, in Q1 journal, university gives 1 lakh rupees. Okay. So this 1 lakh rupees will be distributed certainly, like 50,000 will go to the first author and corresponding author, rest will go to the other authors. Not 50,000, 50%. 50% will go to, so depending on how much it is, at least 50% will go to the author. I mean, that guidelines are depending on number of authors and all depends, right? So they ensure that the first author and the main author, corresponding author, these are the main authors and they get the maximum credit. Okay. When the publications are counted, every author whose name is there, either that is SS, PS, TS, RS, whoever, everyone got this publication. They can keep the publication in their CVs, in their publication list, anywhere they can submit it. Okay, that is their publication. Nobody can deny it because they are the authors in that paper. Okay, they are the authors in that papers. So why we always tell, when I'm asking you how many publications you did, you tell, sir, I have 10 publications in my CV. I have done 10 publications. But if I ask you the same question, you the another question, this is a little bit different. How many are the papers where you are the first author? You will say, sir, only five, right? Only five. So what is the difference in 5 and 10? You have all 10 papers. You are the author in all 10 papers. All 10 papers are in your credit. But the first author means you have the significant contribution. Understand, the first author and the corresponding author means they have contributed significantly more than anyone else in the paper publication, writing the manuscript, analysis, ideation, conduction, collection of the data, everything. Okay, these are contributed very significantly and in the other than, I mean, better than others or more than others. That's why we call them the main authors. Understand? And that is the actual sequence. So guys, for all of you, there is one learning, very basic learning for all of you. Okay, never ever take, I have seen all of my students, not one or two or thing, like who comes to me, I have seen the professors and the very high position peoples who just take everything, everything means, like, let me tell you, like I'm writing here again, AS, SS, PS, TS, AMR, RS. You will see like that. You will see like that. So AS has taken all the credits. AS is the first author. AS is the corresponding author. No difference at all. Okay. It is not making you more significant, or it is not making your contribution more significant. So always share the credits. Always share the credits. If you are the first author, give the corresponding authorship to someone else. Okay, if there are two authors, give the corresponding authorship to someone else. Don't be the first. This is like the inner conscious. This is the inner conscious, because if you are the only first author and corresponding author, I mean, in the group of 8, that means you are not sharing the credits to anyone else. Okay, that means you are not sharing the credits to everyone else. Right? So it is very important to share the authorship with every person who is involved. Okay, and when there could be two people, like maybe you have done very significant, like 80% of the work, and someone has just done 15% of the work, but still you can get the credits and you can distribute the credits equally. Understand, that is up to your conscience. So if you are publishing, never ever do that. Why I'm telling you is, there are, if you have the guide, right, if you have 3 teammates, suppose in the PharmD, I'm talking about the PharmD, or MD thesis are only 1%, right, and DM thesis are only 1%, there are no group members. But PharmD thesis, suppose MPharm thesis is also 1%, but suppose PharmD thesis, there are either 2 people in the group, or 3 people, or 4 people. Why only the first one? I have seen many students, like maybe they are the leaders, or they are the person with very good aura, with very good personality. They convince everyone, like, I'll be the first author and I'll be the corresponding because I'm submitting the author, I'm submitting the paper. No, no. Always, if there are 4 people who have done work in your thesis, in your paper, give one of them the corresponding authorship. Okay. And let me tell you guys, let me tell you very important thing here. Okay. If you are submitting the thesis, if you are submitting the paper into the journal, it doesn't mean that you will be the corresponding author. Okay. Nowadays, I mean, since decades, I am seeing the journals give the option. You are just a submitter. You can choose someone else as corresponding author. Understand? So once you tick that someone else name in the authorship as corresponding author, the entire prospect, entire paper, entire data will go to the another's account, and he will be the corresponding author. And you can also track that. Okay, you can also track that. So it's not necessary that if you are submitting the paper to the journal, you will be the corresponding author. It is not at all like that. Okay. If you are submitting a paper, you can be just a submitter and anyone else can be the corresponding author. Sir, what if the research consists of two and one of them is mentor in it? So mentor can be absolutely. Usually mentors are corresponding authors. Okay. Usually in the usual scenario, if I tell you, mentors are the corresponding authors. Okay. You are the first author always. Researchers are the first authors here. Researchers are the first authors here. Sir, what is SS here? Array, SS is no full form. SS is the name. Okay, SS is the name. I've just written the name. This is like AS is the first author, SS is the second author, PS second, third author, TS third, fourth author, AMR, RS. This is just names. Okay, names. So credits. How to track the credit? There is no need to track the credits. Okay, all will come. There are 4-5 websites and 4-5 databases. Okay, 4-5 databases. You know, ResearchGate is one of the major database which tracks all the researchers in entire world. Then ORCID is there. Okay, ORCID is very important when you are submitting the journals to, paper to any journal, any foreign journal. Your ORCID ID must be there, right? So let me write those things. See, first is ORCID ID, second is ResearchGate. You can keep your track in the ResearchGate. Then there are a few more, but the ORCID and ResearchGate are the major things where you must, if you are a researcher, you must keep your track records. Okay, you can keep your track records. And then Google Scholar is also there. Google Scholar automatically tracks. Okay, Google Scholar automatically traces your publications, your first author publications. How to generate the ORCID ID? Just go to the ORCID. Just go to the ORCID, register your name, your details, how many publications do you have, everything, and they will create your ORCID ID immediately. Similarly on the ResearchGate, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. Just even in the Google Scholar and all these needs verification. If you have the institutional verified IDs, like I have ajit.singh@manipal.edu, right? So that is my official ID, and these all, if I keep that ID, it will be verified immediately. Otherwise, you have to make it verified with your principal, with someone, when you are making the ID in ORCID ID, ResearchGate and all, right? So it is transferable. Once you change the institute, it will be transferred to the another institute. It's not a problem because your personal email ID will be there, okay, for the tracking, for everything. So ORCID ID, ResearchGate, Google Scholar, you also make these things. And those things, like as I'm talking about the Google Scholar, right? So Google Scholar tracks all your activities, how many publications, how many citations you got, how many H index, how many I index, like the indexations, how many are first author, how many you are first author. So these all things are tracked there. Okay, these all things are tracked there, right? So that's how you get the credits. Even when you're going to the universities, all the universities have the track records of all the authors, all the people. So those all, so these all are very, very important. Authorship is one of the very crucial thing. Okay, very crucial thing when you are publishing a paper. Very crucial. You don't know, you might not be knowing, like, okay, it happens like that. I, being a student, I can understand your mentality. Being the, sometimes faculty members also, I'll write the paper, I'll keep your name, HOD's name, this name, will publish the paper, right? Okay, I mean, I think that is the tradition, right? But at least choose the order correctly. At least choose the order and credits correctly. That is my suggestions to everyone. Okay. So that is very, very important. So in 1994, ICMJ came up with the authorship uh, order. Okay. And then in 2004, they came up with the authorship contribution. Like only the people who are contributed now. See, till now, only who have signed the authorship form are authors. Right. But in 2004, they came up with author contributions, who have contributed to the authorship, who has contributed to the mentors, to the manuscript, could be the only, could be the authors only, right? So they came up with the four criterias for becoming the, to becoming the author in any manuscript, to become the author in manuscript, they came up with the 4 criterias. They came up with the 4 criteria. So those criterias are given. Next, I'll tell you. Okay. So in 2013, previously they were having 5 criterias. In 2013, they came up with 4 criterias considering deciding authorship, addressed author list correction. So author list correction can be done. Author list correction can be done even after publication now. Okay, they came up with that. I mean, it's very rare and needs a very, regressive efforts to do that. Responsibilities of corresponding author, declaration of author's conflict of interest also they have added. So now if you are submitting a paper, you have to submit responsibilities or the contributions and declarations of the conflict of interest everywhere from the 2013. So these are the guidelines, and you must have seen that these are, these all you are going through, right? So this is very, very important. Now, reporting and publication. What is reporting and publication? So we follow the ICMJ guidelines, International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, then Committee of Publication Ethics, COPE. COPE is the guidelines. Again, you can read on the publication ethics, research integrity, and authorship to ensure the substantial intellectual role of all authors, right? So what are the authorship in a paper, right? Here are the 4 criterias. 4 criteria to become an author. These are the 4 criteria to become an author. Okay. First of all, your substantial contribution to the conception means the planning, ideation. Okay. Then design of the work, methodology created by you, or the acquisition means the data collection, data analysis, data interpretation of the work. Okay. If you have done these, one of these or two of these, then you could be the author. Along with that, not only this, along with drafting the work, you have participated in drafting the work, or someone else has drafted, but you have reviewed it critically for the intellectual content, for the important intellectual content. So this is not or. See, guys, listen, look at this. This is and. This is and with the bold words. This is and with the capital letters. So all are important. All 4 are important. So one or two of these, either conception or design of the work, or the acquisition analysis, or the interpretation of the data, or data for the work, and drafting of the work or reviewing it. Okay. And the final approval for the version to be published. That means the proofreading. If you have participated in the proofreading also, see, if you have done everything above than this and you did not proofread, you cannot be author. You cannot be eligible to get the authorship. Okay. Then agreement, you have to sign the agreement for accountability of all the aspects, ensuring all the questions whatever is coming, you are equally responsible. Okay. So these are major parts. Okay. These are major parts to become an author. If you are following these guidelines, if you are eligible according to these guidelines, you can be the author. Okay. Understand, guys? Clear for you? Clear? So if you are involved in these all 4 criterias, you can be the author. Otherwise, no. Okay. Otherwise, no. Now, let me tell you, the person. See, let me tell you very clearly, very, very clearly. Okay. See, if the person just gave you the idea, like, oh, this research can be done on, this topic, and he's now out of the research, he is not eligible to become the author. Or the person who helped in designing of the work, he cannot be the author. If he has just done designing of the work, methodology, he has helped you in designing the methodology, not at all. If someone who has just collected the data for you, and other than that, he is not involved in anything, cannot be the author. Remember this, cannot be the author. Or the statistician who is just a statistician cannot be the author. Okay. So it is very, very important to ensure that the person is involved in all 4. So that's why I tell this is very important. See, if the person helped you in analysis, but not involved in these things, He cannot be the author, but he can be in the acknowledgements. You can write Dr. This, or Mr. This is helped us in analysis of the data, in conception of the idea, or in designing of the work in data collection. So we are thankful for his support and contribution towards the uh, research or publication. That's all. You cannot make them the authors. Okay, so this is the critical criteria. This is the critical criteria. Okay, this is the critical criteria, and very important thing to understand, guys. Okay, now let me tell you types of authorship. First is ghost authorship. Can someone tell me what is ghost authorship? What is liability authorship? First and corresponding author we have decided. Well, I mean, we have discussed already. Like, now tell me what is ghost authorship and what is liability authorship or forced authorship. Yes, everyone, tell me. Yes, guys. Ghost authorship. I told you about the ghost authorship before also. If someone, okay, if anyone who hasn't contributed anything in any publication and his name is coming, then that should be one of that ghost authorship. Okay. No. Pradeep, right? Yeah. Okay, Pradeep. Pradeep, not at all. You're no, that is not ghost authorship. No, no. This is not ghost authorship. This is like work is done by someone else, credit is taken by someone else. That is not ghost authorship. I'll tell you. Liability is second. Friends or who is not involved. Author can be anonymous. Author can be anonymous. How author can be anonymous, Kumardeep? Who gave the idea? No. Okay, let me tell you the ghost authorship. Ghost authors is like, see, I mean, I am the A here. Okay. And I have a friend C in my department. I have a friend C in my department. I have D, again, my friend in the other college. Okay. And M is my brother from the same domain, but he is nowhere working or he is somewhere else or he is outside India. I have written a paper. I have done the entire research. I have written a paper, but C, D, M all are getting authorship. Or C is getting authorship, D is getting authorship, or M is getting authorship. Without knowing about the research, they are getting the authorship. Without knowing about the research, just because they are my friends or known, I'm giving them the authorship. They have not participated, they have not contributed at all, but still they are getting the credits. Still they are getting the credits. So that means the host authorship. These are the ghosts. They have no idea of the research at all. Okay. They have no idea of the research at all. I have done everything. My team has done everything. But these are just getting the authorship because they are my friends or my relatives or, you know, like, very close one whom you are giving the authorship. Like, I'll give you the example. I have seen this. Okay. You won't believe this. You won't believe, you will laugh on it. One of my student, last year only, one of my student, girl, okay, she was working on some project. She wrote a paper. She wrote a paper. So that's my habit. Like I check everything when before going for the publication. She wrote a paper, and I approved 6 names in that paper. I approved 6 names in the papers. But when she submitted, there were 7 names in the paper. She added her boyfriend's name in the paper. She added her boyfriend's name, who was in a very prestigious institute, no doubt. He's also a good guy, but he was in a prestigious institute. She added his name in the authorship. And later she came to me, she was like, sir, it will help him. He needs a publication. I want to give this to him. This is ghost authorship. This is ghost authorship. Okay, this is the ghost authorship. He has no idea of the research. He is nowhere connected to us. He is nowhere connecting to the research. He is nowhere connected to the research. He is ghost to us. He is ghost to the research. Understand? So this is the ghost authorship. Understand what is the ghost authorship, guys? I think the examples were appropriate. Great, cool. So, though I have, you know, I didn't do anything, frankly, but it was not at all the ethical part of that, right? Yeah. So this is the ghost authorship, and we all should be very, very careful. We all should be very, very careful. She needs to hesitate. Why she needs to hesitate? Or see, it was just, yeah. So ghost authorship means if someone is not aware to the research, aware to the topic, aware to the publication content, but their name is there. Okay, we are just keeping. Now, what is liability or forced authorship, guys? Liability or forced authorship? Can someone tell me liability authorship now? Yes. Anyone liability authorship? Sir, same one case is happening in my college currently in progress. You can stop it. Maybe forcing to be added in the name. Yes, Anjali. Absolutely. Yes. Not forcefully added. Forcefully liability authorship or forced authorship is like see, I am working in Department of Cardiology, right? My guide is not HOD. My guide is not HOD. Okay. IA and my guide has done the work, but HOD, HOI name is there in my paper. Even they don't know anything about my research. That is called liability authorship or forced authorship. If they are in the higher authorities, if there are in the higher authorities and they say that my name must be there, otherwise your research work will not be done in my department. Otherwise, you cannot pursue your research work in my department. That is called as liability authorship or forced authorship. Okay. Someone has contributed and asking for authorship. No, Priyanka. No. Mentor is forcefully. No, mentor is never forceful. Can also be semi-ghost. No, semi-ghost. I mean, there is no word as semi-ghost. We can call them ghost only. Why semi-ghost? We can call them the ghost, right? They're also the ghost, right? But here they have termed as because they are in the authoritative positions right now. They are in the authoritative positions. So we call them liability authorship or forced authorship. Sometimes we have to keep their name because they are in the situation, they are in the position where they can do anything, right? They can stop your research, they cannot help you, they cannot support you, they will not support you. So there are multiple aspects where you are liable. Okay, I mean where they are liable, and I mean their liability, actually not liable, liability. Their liability to, for you to go ahead with the publications or name. It's not at all right, Ruchita. Not at all right. Not at all right. And how to get rid of it? No, simple. See, show them the guidelines and tell them, sir, you have not contributed. You are the authors. I am giving you the acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is the getting rid of it. My principal, I am very thankful to my principal and HOD for supporting me in conducting this research at department of this institution. Over. They are not eligible to become the author. They are not eligible to become the author, right? So these are the first author and corresponding author we have discussed already, right? So it is already happening forcefully. It's not necessary. It's happening in my institution. It doesn't happen. Really, I'm telling you, in my institution, it does not happen. Very strict rule. Very, very strict rule. Before going for the publication, there is a publication committee at Mahe. There is a publication committee at Mahe which checks all the contributions, which checks everything. And if you feel anything, you can complain. There are different complaint things. There are many things. Sometimes they become the first. This is the practices. These are the malpractices of the research. Okay. We should stop them. We should definitely go against that. We should, I have seen many institutes in India which are not following it, which are not following it. Usually, sometimes in the government institutions or the institutions which are, like which are autonomous or something, there it can happen. There it happens. But in the big universities, like I have seen many universities, DY Patil or Manipal University, and there are few more universities where it's not happening. Where it's not happening because they have the strict guidelines for that. University must make the clear guidelines about the authorships. Okay, yeah. So flow of the research publication, we have seen that. Now the publication misconducts. Okay, publication misconducts. Let's complete this, guys. We have taken a lot of time. We are discussing some important topics, interesting topics. Okay. In some departments might be Ruchita. Okay, so publication misconduct. One is fabrication that we have discussed already, right? The intentional act of making up data, falsification, manipulating the research material, equipments, or process of changing the suppressing the data results without scientific and statistical justification. Then image or digital manipulation. Image and digital manipulation. This is also the publication misconduct. It is the process of alterations, enhancements, transforming, misrepresenting the images or photographs by using the software, airbrushing tool or techniques or AI, digital tools for editing and duplication. Okay, so this is also the type of manipulation. This is the image or digital manipulation we call it. Then the plagiarism, you all know, the wrongful appropriation and stealing and publication of another paper or another author's language, thoughts, ideas, or expressions. So the plagiarism is not just copy pasting of the sentences, guys. Again, I'm repeating this. I have repeated this multiple times. Plagiarism is not just copy pasting the content or stealing the publication or stealing the content. No, it is stealing the language, thoughts, or ideas or expressions also. Okay, can be the plagiarism. So there are World Association of Medical Editors, WAME, identify the plagiarism as the condition where 6 consecutive words are copied or 7 to 11 words are overlapping set of 30 letters. So nowadays in my university, there are only 3 words. Okay, if there are 4 words, in continuation and those are appearing in some other publication online, that is considered as plagiarism. More than 4 words in continuation. Okay, more than 4 words in continuation. Like I am writing, I am Ajit Singh. That is plagiarism. If I have written somewhere else in some other publication, that is considered as plagiarism. That is considered as plagiarism. Understand? If I'm writing international guidelines for this, there are more than 4 words, more than 3 words. That is also counted as plagiarism. How to avoid this plagiarism? How to avoid this kind of plagiarism, guys? Like the names of guidelines, name of people, right? Or some specific quotes, right? If I write quote or name of the people, name of the guidelines, and it will be considered as plagiarism. So how to avoid it? For definitions, yes, for definitions, how to avoid it? Can anyone give me the answer? How to avoid it? Avoiding it is simple. Simple. If this is the definition, see, if this is the definition of if this is the definition of fabrication, just make it under the semicolons. This will not be considered in the plagiarism checker. Okay, this will not be considered in the plagiarism checker. Only for definitions and full names and guidelines name it is considered. You cannot consider for normal sentences. Okay, if there are any guidelines, if there are any names, if there are any standard citations, quotations, you just have to keep under the semicolons. Okay, you just have to keep under the semicolons like this. Okay, under the semicolons, and it will not be considered by the plagiarism checker softwares. This will not be checked by the plagiarism checkers. Okay, so usually we do like that if we have some repetitions. What is the percentage of publication. I mean, like the percentage of plagiarism considered or acceptable for any publication. Can someone tell me, guys? Can someone tell me what is the percentage of plagiarism considered as, yes, below 10%? It should be below 10%. Okay, it should be below 10%. And in PhD thesis, MD thesis, DM thesis, like for the academic thesis, it should be, sorry, for that, it should be less than, yeah, what's happening? Yeah, it should be less than 15%. For the thesis, it should be less than 15%. And for the paper, scientific papers, it should be less than 10%. Sorry, less than 10%. Okay. Understand, guys? Now, let me tell you plagiarism types. Plagiarism types. One is direct plagiarism. Like, this includes the complete or partial direct copying and pasting word by word, word by word, someone's work without acknowledgement. Without acknowledgement. Book chapters also, it is 10%. Any scientific publication like book chapters or scientific papers, journal papers, it is 10%, or abstracts. Okay. Direct plagiarism is like you're just copying and pasting. You're copying and pasting without acknowledging the authors or without giving them credit. Then self-plagiarism. You are taking the things from your own publication, your own work. You are duplicating your own work. Okay, you are duplicating your own work. That is also considered as an ethical practice in case of publication in the journals. Self-plagiarism. Mosaic publication, mosaic plagiarism. What is mosaic plagiarism? Copying of idea or journal structure of the concept. You are not copying a single word from that, but you are copying the entire idea and writing in your own word or changing the phrases. Okay, changing the phrases or words, like using the synonyms or without quoting. Okay, you are getting the idea and writing in your own words. Okay, but the idea is same. You have taken the entire idea, just writing in your language or changing the words. That is also the plagiarism. That is called as mosaic plagiarism. Accidental plagiarism is when the author neglects or forgets to cite the original source. Like suppose you can take the content, you can take a little bit of the sentences or the observations from other papers, you can rephrase them and write in your paper. That's perfectly, that's how you write the papers, right? But you have to quote that, like 1 2 3, you must have seen the references. You have to give the citation to the main author, main paper. So accidental plagiarism is when you write but you don't give, or you forget to, or neglects, I mean either intentionally or unintentionally, you don't give the credits to the original publisher. Okay, that is called accidental plagiarism. Salami publications, we have already learned this. This refers to the publishing many very similar manuscripts or reports based on the same experiments or same work design. Right. So these are the types of plagiarisms. Journal types, predatory journals and all, predatory journals means which are not indexed. Your journal must be indexed in either Scopus, Web of Science, or where, guys? Scopus, Web of Science, Science and PubMed. Your journals must be there indexed. Without indexation, you should not publish any paper. Okay. Without indexation, you should not publish any kind of paper, guys. It is very, very important for ethical publication. Okay, it is very, very important for the ethical publication. So understand, guys, Embase is the part of Elsevier, but Scopus is the indexation of Elsevier. Okay, indexation of Elsevier is Scopus. Okay, guys. So that's about those guidelines. Okay, let me show you those guidelines once so you can, understand more. Okay, I think it is a more, okay, we are just 15 more minutes. That's all. So these are the guidelines what we have just discussed. ICMR policy on research integrity and publication ethics. Okay, so here, like they have given on the reporting and publications, reporting and review process. So they have the entire process of review also. I'll share these guidelines. You check these review process. Plagiarism check, minor, more than 10%. They have written everything. There are the guidelines. Okay, in the supplementary data, they have they have given the definitions, falsification, fabrication, and all. And here the types of plagiarism, how to avoid the plagiarism, guidelines for avoiding the plagiarism, everything is given. These are just 8-9 pages. Okay. I mean, these are 24 pages, but usually only 8 or 9 pages, right? So are here. Guidelines are here. ICMR policy on research integrity and publication ethics 2019. Okay. And the another guidelines, what we are going to learn now, next 10 minutes, is guidelines on ethical requirements for laboratory validation testing. Okay. Laboratory validation testing, next 10 minutes will take in, right? These are just 3 pages. Ethical requirements, done. Done with the guidelines. Only 3 pages, others are nothing. Okay. So only 3 pages on the guidelines, but these are very important to learn, guys. I'll show you these guidelines. Okay. And I'll talk about these guidelines now with you. Sir, can you tell what is Q13 site score and all is acceptable to review article 2, sir? Yes. Q1, Q2, Q3 is the rank of the journals. Okay. Let me tell you in a minute. So suppose there are 100 journals in the cardiology or any department, whatever you consider, like in the medicine, there are 100 journals in the medicine, right? Definitely there will be the rank, like one person, I mean, the one journal has impact factor of 23, one journal has impact factor of 10, 15, all the journals, right? So based on the popularity, based on the review process, based on the acceptance, based on the rank and impact factor, there are the ranks for the journals, right? So the first 25, like 100 to 75, or we can say, like, if we give the ranks like 1 to 100, so first 25 is a creamy layer that is known as Q1 journal, quartile 1, right? So in 100, how many quartiles are there? 4 quartiles, but 25, 25, 25, 25. So first quartile is Q1. Then 26 to 50 is the quartile 2. Then 51 to 75 is quartile 3. Then 76 to 100 is quartile 4, right? Similarly, if in the one category there are 400 journals, then 100, 100, 100, right? So the first quartile is the highest famous and reliable, and their quality and their citations, their readership, everything is there. Impact factor is top, right? They're really good. They're having the very good and clear review process, clear instructions, everything. So Q1, Q2, Q3 is nothing but, like, there is top 25% journals comes in quartile 1, then next 25 comes in quartile 2, the next 25% comes in quartile 3, the next 25 comes in quartile 4. Understand? That's how we decide the quartiles. Understand? These are the quartiles of journals. Let me share the next guidelines with you guys. We have seen, but very, very important. Okay, before that, I want to show you this also. Just go through, everyone, please. Check this. International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, ICGME guidelines. You will see many things here. If I show you, see here. See here. There are defining the role of authors and contributors, roles and responsibility. There are many things, okay? Roles and responsibilities, everything is given here. Like who can be journal owner, who can be editorial, who can be, research participants, responsibilities in the submission and peer review process, disclosure of financial, non-financial. These you will read everything here. Journal owners, authors, okay, and financial relations, non-financial relations. So just go through icmj.com. Okay, icmj.org, International Journal of Medical Journals Editors. This, just go through this journal. You will read a wonderful things on this website. Okay, wonderful things. Okay, so I'll just stop sharing. Yeah, so just read it. Just go through the website. Then I'll come to another interesting guidelines is, okay, so here are the guidelines. Okay, yeah. What is this? I did something wrong. Yeah. Let me make it full screen. See, so ethical requirements for laboratory validation testing. See, when I'm talking about the healthcare research, this is completely about the clinical research. Okay, this is not the validation of those instruments what you use in quality check or anything, multiple things here. These are very different, and that's why we very short also. Okay, so let's check. Let me tell you. Okay, you guys can. So What is laboratory validation process? What do you need the laboratory validation testing guidelines? Okay, so guys, tell me these two questions only. What is laboratory validation process? What do you understand by laboratory validation? I can tell you, you all will be answering wrong. I'm telling you initially only. You all are going to answer it wrong. But still, I'm asking you, what is laboratory validation process? Laboratory validation testing. Yes. Is the lab good enough to do the research? Okay. Lab has appropriate conditions for conduction of research. Okay. I was thinking you guys are wrong. GLP, GMP guidelines. Okay. I was literally thinking you guys will answer wrong. Okay. Anyone else? Validating the laboratory who performs the test. Is the lab accurate, precise according to GLP? Okay. You all are wrong, guys. Come on. You all are wrong. Okay. Let me tell you, you all are wrong. Let it be. No. This is not about the lab. Come on. These guidelines are not about the lab. Laboratory validation testing means not about the evaluation of laboratories. Okay, this is not the this is not for the labs. Okay, this is to validate the data. This is to validate the process. This is to validate the results. Okay, if something is done, how to check that method. If the method is correct, if the process is correct. Okay, if the method or process is correct, if the product is correct. Validation testing means you are validating, you are either creating the new data. I mean, see, suppose let's talk about the drug development, I'm telling. So, the drug development, you are developing your own drug, right? The development of drug will be done in the laboratory itself. So, GLP, everything will be followed, everything must be followed in the laboratory, and that is the laboratory evaluation. You have to understand the difference. That is laboratory evaluation. Okay, that should be correct, licensing and everything. But once the drug is created, once the product is created, that will be go for the validation. If the product is correct, it is good to go to the market or not, right? That will be quality check. This validation process is nothing but the quality check, validation of the product or method, whether that method is created in its own laboratory, in that same laboratory, or it is exported from somewhere else. Okay, so either that is existed or new, it doesn't matter, but everything must go through the validation process. Understand, everything must go through the validation process, and that is called as laboratory validation testing. And there are the guidelines for that. This is not about the laboratory at all. You all are wrong here. So that's why I'm telling, that's why these guidelines were very important to understand. You understand my idea? So why we are going to talk about why we need such guidelines. See, this is very important. See, very important. Validation is defined as establishing documented evidence that provides a high degree of assurance that a specific process will be consistently produce a product meeting its predefined specifications and quality attributes. Laboratory validation tests are used to ensure that the laboratory test data and results are accurate, consistent, and precise. Okay, it is not about the laboratory, it is about the test data. It is about the data, product, or results for their consistency, accuracy, and precision. Understand? That is laboratory validation testing. Okay, these are processes that are documented and standardized to establish that the methods or instruments used will provide consistent results within the prescribed acceptance criteria to be clinically applicable. To be clinically applicable. What is instrument or methods here? See, that could be either the stunt or any implantation, or any instrument which will be used for clinical use. Okay, either medicine or process or the procedure or the instrument which will be used clinically, not those what you are thinking of laboratory data. Okay, that is completely different. That is completely different. Yes, pacemakers. Yes, pacemakers. Not, yeah. So results quality must be checked. This is not those things what you are thinking. Laboratory, when it comes in our mind, it is very, very, even when not now. I mean, I know about these guidelines for years, but before that, I also used to think the same. Like laboratory means laboratory machines must be good, must be followed SOPs, standard operation procedures and all. But when I wrote these guidelines, these are completely different. Okay, that's why these are very important to take. Okay, right? These are very important to take. Oh, where I'm off. No, one sec. Oh, I came to the first. Oh, one sec. Yeah. So, what is validation? See, novel test or technology, there are two types of validations. First is either that is novel test or that is existing test or technology. So there is no suitable performance specification available, means the test or technology is new and there is no control. Okay, and then there is existing test or technology and there is control. So you are just either change a bit or changing in the technology or changing in the existing data and then going for the new validation. Okay, so that is like the technology or test or performance or specifications, whatever you are doing. Like there is, if it is new, then there is no control. If it is, existing, then there is control. So what we do is we test the development and assessment of utility, technical and diagnostics by characterizing the critical parameters, appropriate measurements, selectivity, interferences, carryovers. We verify those, we validate those, and then it's done. Technical validation can be done again, right? So validation is for two types of data or two types of technology. Either that is new, as I told you, or that is existing, right? That can be done in the laboratory. So validation is for the data, not for the instruments which are used to check the validation. What is the scope of these guidelines? Simple. Laboratory validation test. You will see here, laboratory validation tests, which may include the test to ensure the reproducibility, sensitivity, specificity, accuracy, reliability, fitness of purpose, quality control, assurance purposes, or done using the residual, archived, or unlinked anonymous samples. Okay, so you will see here residuals, archived, unlinked, or anonymous samples. I'll tell you about these things in the guidelines when we are reading the next slides. So here the major part you have to understand, as I'm telling you for last 10 minutes, 5 minutes, it does not include the independent evaluation of novel products, innovations for which the clinical evaluation is required and may involve regulatory pathways. So these are not included, or these are not including the labs or the data manufacturing process or product manufacturing process. No, this is not about the product or product manufacturing or the instruments involved in the instruments or labs involved in the production or manufacturing. Not at all. This is about the product. When the product is finalized, that has to be validated for the clinical purposes. Understand? That's why we need these guidelines. So what is the difference between limited validation testing, biomedical and healthcare research involving human participants? Simple. Biomedical and healthcare research on human includes the studies that are designed primarily to increase the scientific knowledge, as we have studied, about the disease and conditions, their detection, cause, involving strategies for the health promotions, prevention, a lot of things, right? But lab validation testing typically focuses on the lab methods undertaking in a controlled environment to ensure the accuracy, reliability of results, or and not exploring the broader scientific questions. Okay, no broader scientific. These laboratorical methods are just to check. We are not talking about the validity of the lab methods. Here are the lab methods which are used to check the product and the other procedures which are going to be used clinically. Okay, the validation testing, read this: the validation testing must not in any way influence the patient diagnostics, management, or treatment, and has no bearing on health related outcomes on a patient, of for a patient. Understand? So in the summary, if I summarize everything, this is the validation of a process, instrument, or any kind of method or drug which is going to be used clinically. Okay, that is going to be used clinically after its approval to the market. Okay, after sorry, before its approval to the market, right? That has to be done. Right. So ethical considerations, definitely there are multiple ethical considerations you should know. Laboratory validation testing employs the samples. So first of all, you must know the samples. There are the samples or biological materials or biological, why these are being used, why these guidelines are made and for what exactly. So you will understand here. Okay. Their application you will understand here. So the materials or biological specimens such as blood, urine, tissue, cells, saliva, DNA. Okay, these are the biological matters. So sample must not have been collected specifically for this purpose, but are available if they are not. See, we cannot collect these data for the validation. Okay. Remember, we cannot collect the blood, urine, tissue cells, saliva, DNA, or any human participants, organs or any part, part of the human body directly for these purposes. These purposes can be, but these things are being used for the validation, definitely for any process or any, anything like if you want to check the machine which is going to, do the DNA, DNA transformation or DNA translation, right? If there is a machine which is going to do the DNA translation, machine is approved, everything is done, laboratory processes like whatever laboratory methods were done, machine is there. Now we have to validate the machine. So how to validate the machines? We have to validate the machine with these type of samples, right? The DNA samples. So the crux here is the main summary here is you cannot take the DNA directly from the human being to test this machine. Okay, what you will do, you have to take the archived samples which are either disassociated, delinked, or unidentified, or pooled or anonymous samples. Okay, available without any patient information and thus pose no risks to the patient's confidentiality. So these are usually the leftover samples. Okay, or these are usually the extra taken samples and make in the pool, like pool means the collective way with anonymous identities, make a pool and send it for the validation of any instrument, right? So such things are being used in a very ethical way and very, under the guidelines, right? Though if the biological samples are linked to different types of personal identifiers, name and etc., or with health related data, chronic illness, prior hospital stays, or other types of potentially sensitive data, travel history, family history, there is a risk for breach of confidentiality, and such samples are not recommended for the lab validation testing without ethics approval of ethics committee. You understand that? Very clear. If the biological samples are linked, not pulled up, but linked like individual things, and you know anything about that sample. Oh, this sample is from the people who have traveled from such area. These samples are from this specific race. These samples are from this specific hospital history. So those are also not considered or not recommended for the lab validation testing until the ethics committee approvals are being taken. Okay, so that is very, very important. Then see, the laboratory must not tend to collect or extract more samples to be used for future validation testing. The guidelines strictly says there should be no extra material. There should be no extra samples collected for the future validation testing. Okay, like suppose drawing the more blood volume for the use later. No, then would typically be needed for a diagnostic procedure. So any extra blood draws would require the appropriate ethics approval and informed consent to the patient. Okay, any extra component, blood or anything for the validation, if you are taking, that needs the ethical approval. Otherwise, for the lab validation, if the data is leftover, archived or anonymous, you don't need ethical committee. You don't need ethical committee approvals. You just need to inform them. I mean, if this is remaining, you can take them. But I mean, in such cases, you don't need the ethical approval if you have the data which is pooled, anonymous, archived, or leftover. Okay, but when you are taking the data, I mean taking the such materials from the human beings, that time if you are taking the extra and it is left, either it is extra or it is remaining in the vials and you are using it for testing, that must be informed to the ethics committee, because you are taking the samples after ethical committee approval only, right? But the leftover, if you are using for the validation, validation is a different process. If you are using for the validation, you have to inform to the ethics committee and the data must be anonymous, right? But if you are validating any procedure or any such item or such product for the laboratory testing, if you're validating the laboratory testing, then what you have to do is you don't need the ethical approval if you have the pooled data, if you have the archived data, leftover data, but all should be anonymous. Okay, so there are different scenarios here. Like in analytical validation studies, residual samples are there stored, and there is no direct harm to the patient. So you don't need the informed consent, you don't need the ethical approval. For the clinical validation, if samples collected from the patient, healthy donors, and per routine practice, no additional sample is collected for the study, but there is directly no harm, samples anonymized, then the ethics committee or informed consent not required. But if the clinical validation is non-invasive samples, either invasive or non-invasive samples from the person, okay, from the person. Here in two scenarios, in two above scenarios, the data was completely anonymized. In this also, the samples will be completely anonymized, but samples are directly taken from the people here. Okay, not the pooled or not made in the pool or not the anonymized things. Okay, so I mean, no, anonymized means like everything was individual. Here in the non-invasive and invasive samples for the clinical validation, everything is individual, maybe anonymized, but individual means okay, these are for heart failure, these are taken from such patient, such age group, such gender, such race. So if anything is related, that if those are anonymized also, those need the ethics committee approval and those need the informed consents also. Okay, understand? Analytical validation, clinical validations with the data which have been collected already, pooled up and anonymized. There is no personal data associated or any history associated with those samples. Those do not need any kind of informed consent or ethical approval. But if the data is directly taken care or leftover or anything, but it has the any connection or anything, it needs the ethical approval and consent forms. Okay, so there are certain scenarios for the validation testing. You can read in these guidelines. Okay, guys. So my main intention to take these guidelines were to just tell you what are these guidelines, and you must not be confused with other guidelines is here. Okay, you must not be confused with other guidelines is here. So that's why I took these guidelines, and when you read, you will get the clarity about these guidelines is. Okay. Okay, guys. So thank you very much. Now you can ask your questions, and I'm sharing the feedback form for next 3 minutes. Okay, next 3 minutes, I'm sharing the feedback form. By the time you can type the questions, guys. Type the questions if you have any questions. Any questions? This is important form, guys. You all have to fill. This is surprising. When I started the class, there were 130 people, and now there are 186. Even in the middle, there were 140 only. Isn't it surprising? People are smart, right? Anyways, fill the feedback form right now, guys. It is for only 3 minutes. You all have to fill the feedback form. Is being a ghost author a malpractice? Definitely. 100%. 100%, Pradeep. 100%. It is a malpractice. Does publication has value during job interview? Of course, absolutely. Publication is the effort. Publication tells about your, readings, your conduction of research skills, your, you know, what we say, the review of literature process skills. It tells about your scientific skills. It tells about your writing skills. It tells about your grammar, grammatical things. It reflects many skills. When you write a paper by yourself, it is, you have to put a lot of skills, study skills, your presence of mind, lot of things. So it has an impact everywhere. Okay, it has the value everywhere, not only in the job interview, but in the college, class, when you are academician, anywhere. This is the last time I'm sharing the link. After that, no link. Okay. Yes. Fill it now, only 2 minutes. Sir, if someone who hasn't contributed anything in any publication and his name is coming, then what should we have to do in that case? See, if it is your paper and you don't want the case, you can directly talk to them. If it is forcefully, sometimes you have to do the forcefully. Sometimes you are under the circumstances when you cannot say anything and you have to put the names, that is there. Okay, but if you feel unethical and if you want to really go rebel, if you are a rebel, you doesn't care, you don't care at all, like if you will be rusticated or if you will not be able to do the research again, or if you are leaving the institute, then you can write to the journal that this is the ghost authorship and this has done been in these situations and they have not participated, and also they have been, the action will be taken for sure. But usually people don't do that. I mean, but if you are a rebel, you can do that. Sir, how to change university policies in authorship? See, that you cannot do that. University administration, including the principals, professors, and ethics committee has to do that. So they have to do that. Feedback form is shared already, extra. Now I cannot share, please. No one will share the feedback form now. Okay, guys, it's more than 3 minutes. Then take care. I'll see you tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow. I think this course is over. Your certificates will be given soon. Okay, I'll share one test. You have to complete the test and then your things will be given. Sir, at institute level, teachers does forced authorship to get their names. What to do in this case? See, being a student, you cannot do anything literally. You have to do whatever the mentor says, whatever the people says, you have to do that. But usually when you are in the power, you are a clinical researcher. When you are a clinical researcher or when you are the person, like you are doing PhD or something, then definitely you can take the action. You can tell them, you can be rebel. You can tell them like if he is not participating, because there are the stricter guidelines from what? Stricter guidelines from ICMR, stricter guidelines from UGC, stricter guidelines from AICTE for the PhD and other things. So they cannot force you at all. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Wonderful, guys. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful reviews, guys. Thank you. So take care, guys. We'll see you then in some other sessions. Take care, guys.